Depression is a huge subject, and I'd like to share a few things of what I went through on my personal journey, what I experienced to be depression in my body, in my being, and what I learned, which helped me go through it and come out of it. I know it might be personal and very different for many people. Some people might have a very different scientific approach to it or medical approach to it. I am just going to speak here about my personal experience, and I really do hope it can help some of you go through it. So I felt my depression starting in my mid-20s, and I didn't really comprehend it to be depression. I just didn't know what it was. I knew that I was feeling suddenly really sad, really sad. A certain kind of heaviness that I could not shake off, no matter what. I knew I was still surrounded by my friends, I was surrounded by my family, I was doing what I loved, I was working, I was going out, everything was the same, but suddenly the way my body felt inside was so different, and that had a huge toll on the way I lived my life. It so happened that back then, what we knew to do was to go and seek help from a professional, and that professional advised me to take certain antidepressants, and that was exactly what I did. It was the fast solution, and I thought it helped me back then. I was on antidepressants for about 9 months, I think. When I started them, within a few days, maximum a week, I started feeling different. I could manage my life, I managed my emotions, I wasn't feeling the same way anymore, so I thought things had been fixed. So gradually, as you know, if you've been on antidepressants, you get weaned off them, just the same slow way you gradually take them. And then slowly, when you and your doctor decide you're doing better, you go through a gradual process of being weaned off them. And that's what I did. I suddenly found out a few months after that, let's say between 6 to 9 months, that I suddenly felt the same kind of heaviness. And I knew what to translate it as. And I thought, oh, it's the same kind of heavy, sad feeling, so it must be depression again. I didn't need to go to a psychiatrist or psychologist. I didn't link or connect emotionally to the one I had seen a year before. So I decided to just use my connections and get some medicine on the side by myself, which is not recommended to anybody, but that's just my personal experience. This is what I went through. And being in this part of the world, I was able to get my hands on some medicine, and I took them for, again, the same amount of months. Again, I weaned myself off, and everything seemed to be fine. Now, when the third time happened, that was about a year and a half after that. The third time, I again self-medicated with the knowledge I had from my previous two experiences, and here I found that even using that medication, things were not changing. Something was heavier and foreign almost this time. Foreign to the degree that I could not really put my hands on it or put my finger on what it was exactly. But I felt a real heavy despair, and this is when I broke down. I had to leave work. I went to see my family, and I went to see a GP who had some knowledge in homeopathy and psychology, and she gave me some natural medicine, and she opened my mind up to the idea that I might not be dealing with things. That's what she said. She said, I see you speaking to me and telling me things, but you are so detached, you're so far from the emotions that need to come out while you're talking about this history. And that's what triggered this curiosity in me. And I'm very grateful to say today, in the paper I wrote about leaving my depression behind, I did mention that I felt all of my issues come together against me, to finally break me and make me fall into a black and dark abyss. Of course, that abyss was my creation. It was an abyss made of all of the issues I never wanted to face. Or let's be honest and say I was never taught how to face. So to cut a long story short, my depression by then was debilitating. It was paralyzing me. I could not do anything. I knew that the medicine I had taken in the years before was not really helping me. They sort of numbed the feelings of sadness and anger or anything else I did not want to feel that felt so heavy in my body. They numbed them. It's as if I hid my issues under a carpet. So every time I'd be weaned off those pills, the issues would still be there. That third time, there was one brain cell I'd always be grateful for that made me look for a person to talk to. I wanted a person who would not make me take any medicine and who would help me understand what was going on inside my mind and my body. And by no coincidence, I was introduced to the person who would really help me heal myself. But here came the responsibility of taking care of everything I was doing or not doing. She introduced me to the way I was thinking, to all of the emotions I had suppressed automatically as I was growing up, because most of us are not really taught how to deal with the heavy emotions such as sadness and anger. I will just focus on those two because I feel through my personal journey and through my work with my clients, these are the two heaviest subjects we still do not know how to approach. I worked for about 5 to 6 years on my issues, bringing them all out, cleansing my body, learning finally that depression was to be healed when you tapped into your memories and you found those painful memories that were hidden for so long, and you just needed to bring them into the light, face them, talk about them, release any emotion attached to them. Whether it was sadness, then to have a really good cry. For as long as it takes, have a really good cry. And as often as it takes, just have a really good cry. Cleanse your body from that sadness. And then there were other memories which had a lot of anger and resentment attached to them. And then I had to learn to connect to that aggressive, not negative, but aggressive, powerful energy that felt different to sadness. Sadness is very soft. Anger is very different. I learned exercises to release the anger, and of course that also took time, and I had nothing but time to give myself. And I learned that for this work to happen, I needed to learn to really love myself. Because if I did not love myself, I had nobody else to support me. I mean, of course, you have a coach or counselor to help you. You have your friends around you. You have family around you. They never left me. I'm so forever grateful for all of them. But I also knew that I had lost myself in the process for so many years. By the age of 36, I had totally lost myself. And the biggest work here was to connect, to go within myself and to connect to the child in me that I lost, who was hidden at the age of 5 or 6 from all the fear and anxiety and loneliness and sadness and anger she felt. I had hid her somewhere, and I did not know how to bring her out and connect with her, to love her, to hug her. And that was the biggest thing I had to learn to do, and the most healing. During my chakra workshop, one of the things we have to do is to bring with us a picture of our younger self at a happy time. Because that younger self, we learn, is always with us. And that's the younger self who's going to go through the cleansing and healing journey with us until the end of our days on this earth, in this life. So I'm here to just tell you, this is out of my personal experience, my personal journey, which I'm very grateful for. I ended up writing a really cleansing, good paper about it, and I called it Leaving Depression Behind, because it was a very, very heavy, paralyzing issue to deal with. It was a huge challenge. I want you to know it is not impossible to go beyond it. It is not impossible to heal from it. It is not impossible to go through it, to learn from it, and to leave it behind. Just find the person that you trust, that you find is compassionate enough with you to go along the journey with you, so that you know what you're going through, that you're not alone, somebody who is objective, okay, a bit more than family and friends, and learn to love yourself. Do not leave yourself behind. We've all lost ourselves on our journey at some point or another. You need to connect to the younger boy or girl in you and just set your intention to just be on this journey and learn and grow together. I promise you, I changed everything in my life, emotionally, mentally, and physically. I had a lot of physical ailments that no longer exist. I can mention a few. IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, was gone, okay? Spots, acne all over my face, that was gone. Colds and coughs. My cough, I would get a cold about 4 times a year, and I would get a cough with it that would last for 2 to 3 months. It would turn asthmatic. Everything is gone now. And only because I learned to go within, to love myself, and to just release all of that energy. I wish you the same. Just set the intention to do the work and to love yourself.